Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that intro song. What do they call it? What do the kids call it? That's a bit of a banger. I believe I can say that. Anyways, I promise only Christmas music for a couple weeks, and that'll be it. But we'll have some fun with it. Anyways, hope you like that one. Here we are, episode number 7. Um, wow, we're just cruising right along. Episode number 7 is brought to you by John Deere. Check them out at deere.ca. Yeah, you heard that right. Did Santa get my Christmas list early? Have I been a good boy in 2023? John Deere on the What the Futures podcast. This is a big deal for me, okay, as you can tell. Super pumped to have them as part of the show. As a kid growing up in Dormy, Saskatchewan, the first tractor that I was allowed to do chores with was the 1965 4020 on the farm. Power shift, 8-speed. We had like the bucket, forks, and that was the first farm tractor I ever drove. And we used that tractor to clean out the barn and stuff. It did everything. But specifically, my brother and I had chickens and laying hens, and that's how we bought our first dirt bike. That's what paid for our camping adventures, whatever we had going on. We were selling those eggs for like a buck or two a dozen, back in the late 90s. So the 4020 was the first tractor that I was allowed to kind of drive on the farm. And I would say probably the best tractor ever made as well. That's what my dad told me this morning when we were chatting. Um, the first tractor on the farm, my grandpa's first tractor was the Model B. My dad currently today has a John Deere 60 on the farm, a John Deere 830, a John Deere D that he uses for tractor pulling. We obviously operate some slightly newer equipment these days, but quite green on the farm. So I'm super excited. Stay tuned for a lot more content from the good folks over at John Deere. Alrighty, a Christmas theme. Uh, if you see me dressed as Buddy the Elf next week, don't be alarmed. Well, you can be alarmed, but it's not the prettiest sight. But we do have 12 videos that will start going out the 12 days of Christmas with the What the Futures podcast. I have partnered with about 9 or 10 companies so far to create these little Christmas videos, some insight into 2024 with some of these great Canadian egg companies here as well. And you can follow us along on our social media feeds. Each company is donating a great prize to give away, so you just have to go like the post, share it, whatever the call to action is for that day, and you can potentially win yourself a nice little prize. So you'll see a few of these videos here for the rest of the month, and I certainly have been having a lot of fun with them. The other thing that I'm having fun with is I just went out across our social medias here is the Farmer Letter to Santa. Those will be due on December 20th. I'll read them on the podcast on Friday, December 22nd. Go take a look at it. Again, you can put your first name only and fill it in. I'll have a nice little prize pack for somebody that submits that. You can email it to us. You can send it back through our messaging on social media. However you want to get it back to us, do that, and we'll pick a winner for some What the Future swag, and I'll put a nice little holiday spirited prize pack together. Have some fun with it. I want to know what you guys are thinking. What do you need on the farm in 2024? What do you want to ask Santa for? And I'll read the best ones on that Friday the 22nd episode. Someone told me the other day that, Ryan, you certainly love Christmas, and I didn't think that I was a big Christmas guy. But now, after looking at some of this stuff, I am coming to the realization, I guess I am a Christmas guy. So So here we are. All right, a positive moment for the week. It is, of course, Positive Friday. That's when these episodes are released. So I've again close to home for me all the time, right? I'm a big family guy, but my son Finn, he is turning 11 months old here in a day or two. And this week he decided it was time to keep up with his older sister. So we have a walker, another walker in the house. We do need to get him a helmet just to help him out a little bit, I think, because a couple of bumps and bruises along the way. But it's been just great seeing him motor along here over the last couple of days. Every day he's getting stronger and stronger. My other positive moment, I like to give a couple. Well, the podcast is officially a month old. Here we are. It's been listened to in 10 countries. So thank you, farmers, for vacationing. We've had 1,250 listeners tune in over the month. We have, I think, around 90 subscribers now. That would be subscribing through the podcast platforms. There's 8 of them, right? The call to action last week, so we're up to 8 now, so thank you, for that. Trent's not on his own anymore, and then also we've just had a variety and range of guests, and that looks like it's gonna continue to expand here for the podcast. Um, Getting a few other people reaching out and a few other people wanting to jump on. So again, just looking to get some additional great content for farmers in the prairie provinces here. Um, and of course, feedback. I've received a decent amount of feedback over the month, and I appreciate it. Good, bad, or ugly. I certainly appreciate you reaching out. Um, Folks that I've never chatted with before are sending me messages, and like I said, you guys have a chance to steer the show at times, and so keep sending in the feedback. I appreciate it. Of course, you can always help me out. Head to our website, whatthefuturespodcast.ca, to subscribe to our updates. We have a YouTube channel, as I just mentioned. Um, and you can check that out in the episode guide here of the podcast you're listening to. And also, you can text me 1-855-606-1889. In fact, you can do your letter to Santa, take a picture of it, text it over to me, and that will get you in for that What the Future's prize pack as well. All right, folks, let's get to our veggies here. Let's get to our hard work of the day and our key takeaways. So, a reminder that you should always seek the advice of a professional when it comes to crop marketing and some of these farm decisions. What I talk about on the What the Futures podcast is for information purposes only. Prices can change very quickly. At some point, I'll get a more professional disclaimer at the beginning of the show. But we are starting to toss out things for growers to look at and consider when you're doing your 2024 business planning and farm planning. And I want to continue to do that, but we also I need you to realize that there's a lot smarter people out there than myself, and you should reach out to those wonderful folks. All right, so I have actually 5 things for us to work on right now, and my last one, number 5, I just want to, just hang in there for me, because number 5 is it's a great time to deliver grain, not a great time to sell grain. And I'm going to talk about this feeling that everybody has right now. So just hang in here minutes. All right, let's talk about urea and even phos. Let's throw fertilizer in the conversation here. Urea has seen a price decline. We talked about it last week. We've been talking urea for the last couple of weeks here. You're now around $700 a ton, even a high sixes, 690, 695 in there. And I'm just, giving you some feedback that I received from ADM. I was on their conference call this week. I saw Josh Linville with StoneX, his latest tweets. I even have an industry contact. He's like a secret agent contact. He's well positioned in the fertilizer market in Western Canada. And he also suggested to me that it would be a good time to consider some additional coverage on urea. He was hearing that retailers, so the people that you buy from, are taking some bigger bites on buying fertilizer here, and they're speaking for product. So he thought that might be a signal for farmers to jump in here as well. There is always a chance for prices to decline, right? And even I believe it was ADM mentioned that prices could soften a little bit after maybe that February timeframe. But in Western Canada, we don't often see that, and logistics might be one of those reasons we don't see it. But I would encourage you, reach out to your retailers, have a great conversation with them. Do not wait for that Christmas to New Year's break. I know a lot of you will write business that week. Go sooner. Head to town a little bit sooner this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that demand has prices on the rise here over the next couple of weeks. So go ahead and have that meeting a little bit earlier here for 2023. You can always go visit them during Christmas and New Year's and have some Christmas cheer. Like, you can definitely still do that. Just maybe book your FERT before you go. All right, number 2. Again, we're getting our veggies in here. We're getting our hard work done. Canola futures. I want to like hum the song, "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Um, Terrible singing voice, and unfortunately, that may come out over the next couple weeks. But obviously, it's tough with futures falling like they have. It's tough to not worry. Our problem has been just a little bit a lack of export business to China. But I would expect that to change in the early part of 2024. Canola exports were actually at a 7-month high in October. I didn't realize that until this morning. I was reading a great little article from Oil World, and they said that October was a 7-month high, but that fell off drastically in the month of November. They also expected crush to be a record 10.6 million metric tons, but of course the crop is 18.3, a little bit of carryover. We still need to export, right? And so we need to see that demand. Will canola futures cruise higher in 2024? I guess I can't officially tell you yes, because I don't know necessarily. But many analysts across the prairies were talking about making that sale at 700 to 725, and even yesterday saying they were optimistic that they would get another chance at that level. Now, of course, I teased that the sell-off started because companies, large consulting firms, made that recommendation a couple weeks ago. But it looks like when we get back there, that's when the next sale rec's going to come out here once again. So again, if you're looking to generate some cash flow for the winter, that might be the futures level that you look at. The problem that we have is our crush plants across Alberta and Saskatchewan are putting out signals, basis levels getting worse, that they're filling up for the winter. And and with a lack of export program, that's I believe 100% legit. So if you want to generate Jan Feb cash flow, you may have to seek out a line company now, and hopefully you get a little bit of that export demand that helps us move some business over to those folks. We just can't crush it all. And of course, keep an eye on your energy markets, because that's going to be an influence here as well in the price of canola in the new year. But I would suggest not to get too stressed out about it at this time. I don't know if that's worth anything to you, but yeah, December is a tough time to market grain. All right, let's move over now. Brazil. We'll get an update and a fresh outlook from BAM-WX in next week's episode. But I did want to highlight that there are rain events happening, but they have not been consistent, and they are tracking below normal for this time of year. It's one of those scenarios where you see the rains happening. It's not hitting everywhere. There's still problem areas, but it's enough, for the trade to just relax a little bit and not stress out about it too much. We do have a USDA report that's going to come out on Friday, December 8th. So by the time you're listening to this, maybe that's had an influence. Maybe the report has dropped Brazilian production down. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. But the long range forecast last we checked, not great for rain events, moisture events. That's a crucial and more critical time for plant development. And so my point here for now is the story's not over, in my opinion, and will take time to develop. All right, number 4. Again, there's 5. We're just about there. Wheat basis. I cringed earlier this week when I heard a grain buyer presentation. There are fantastic grain buyers across the prairies. I don't mean to pick on the grain buyer, but the presentation was interesting. It wasn't optimistic, but in there was a recommendation, a call to action to do a wheat basis contract. And that's scary stuff for me now because they didn't highlight any bullish factors to influence wheat futures higher. I know what the Futures podcast was talking and promoting basis contracts weeks ago, and we got some great basis levels locked up. But we have a plan to execute that at the higher end of the trading range, which spring wheat's showing a little bit of life here to get that tidied up. I want to be more optimistic, folks, but if we're all writing wheat basis contracts, I don't know. It still stinks to me, but time will tell. Just be cautious, have a plan, have an exit strategy on your wheat basis contract. Again, seek a professional for this advice. All right, number 5. It is December is a great time to deliver grain. This year, especially with the weather being mild, right? Truckers are enjoying it, cows are enjoying it. Great time to deliver grain, not a great time to sell grain. I know it's that gut wrenching feeling as the market slides and drops. And I also know that a lot of canola was sold this week in this sell off. The buyers were busy. From what I can tell, they were quite busy. And sometimes it's best to avert your eyes and focus on other projects, focus on something else to do. Again, delivering grain is fun in December. Selling grain traditionally is not. It's a tough month for canola sales, and the stats can report was always going to highlight a much larger number than what they printed in September. Now, we won't have Chuck on for a couple weeks here, but he talked about there wasn't an update to acreage numbers, so they didn't resurvey acres, so there could be some additional changes down the road. Recession talks, the energy market concerns, that all added to the sell-off. And then, of course, farmers feeling undersold. That also contributed and did lead to some mass sales this week. Do I know where this market is going? No, I don't. But I do believe this market will find reason to rally again. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a fairly wide range in grains or canola sale levels here in 2023 into 24. And what I mean by that is if you sold, 15, I wouldn't surprise me to get another chance at 17. And you never know what happens in the spring. So I know it's tough, folks. I know my words don't necessarily help, but anyways, I'm just trying to help contribute here just a little bit to make you feel a little bit better heading into the holiday season. All right, so that is my big areas to focus on right now. We are going to change it up here a little bit. I'm going to bring in Daryl Cousin from the Conexus Credit Union. He'll join me in just a few moments here. After we get wrapped up with Daryl, we're going to go talk about futures moves real quick. We'll talk about exciting grain prices that we're seeing across the prairie provinces. And then if we have any focus on the farm and any homework to do here for this week. So let's cut over to Daryl. All right, I've got Daryl Cousin joining me here on the What the Futures podcast. Daryl, how is your week going?
Oh, it's a great week today, Ryan. I just came back from a farmer meeting in St. Louis. It was a good time. Talk about fertilizer. Yeah, it was good. Farmers
Awesome.
seem to be pretty optimistic still, so that's good.
That's always good. That's
Yeah.
always good. Earlier in the episode, I had some maybe some homework, some takeaways, things to focus on. And like you're seeing the canola market get absolutely destroyed here this week. But I'm sitting here being a little optimistic, saying, you know what, it's not as bad as it might look. It's going to be a little better 2024. So
Yeah. Well,
optimism's a good thing.
yeah, it came up a few bucks today, didn't it? $10 or
Yeah,
so came
yeah.
back up.
If
That's good.
15, 16, it was a better day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all right, man. So you work with Conexus. You work in the banking side of farming. Why don't you just give us a little intro on what you're up to?
Yeah. Well, I work with Conexus out of the Prince Albert branch. I've been dealing with farmers for the last 16 years. Prior to that, I was a grain buyer out of Melfort and Tisdale, grain merchant up there. And right now, I got clients, or we call them members, because they're all members of the credit union,
Hmm.
all the way from Nipawin to Spiritwood down to Radisson, all the way out to Watson. So I've got a pretty big area I cover up in the north. Yeah, so help them all with lines, term loans, mortgages, kind of everything in between.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun job,
Yep.
really.
Good. Good. So you're in the month of December now, end of the calendar year. What are you guys focusing on in your
Well,
meetings?
right now it's everybody's kind of in holiday mode, but I'm trying to get guys ready for annual reviews and making sure that they know what they got their credit lined up for next year, whether to be buying equipment, land, or inputs. So that's where lots of I find input prices have increased substantially in the last few years,
Yep.
and that most guys finance that with operating credit at uh, their input facilities or through lines of credit with their banks or the credit unions.
Yeah. Um, when you're looking at that year-end review, I'm just curious, are farmers, do they have like a program they use and they kind of submit those numbers to you, or do you guys do the number crunching for them? How does that play
Uh,
out?
we work together. I send them out sheets they got to fill out to give us their
Mhm.
year-end balances so I can keep track of inventory level changes between year to year and cash and equipment. And if there's any equipment aging or if I see anything weird in their numbers, we can discuss what should happen or what they should be watching for next year.
Mhm.
One thing I've been noticing the last few years is interest costs on the farms has increased substantially, partly due to increased input costs, but a big one is, of course, interest rates. They've
Mhm.
come up a lot in the last 2 years, even.
From a budgeting perspective, I was obviously a crop marketing advisor for a long time, and going over break even numbers, and interest cost was, it was there, but it was just not a big discussion point for a lot of those years. It was just a very small number. And the other day I was chatting with a farmer, and that number is it's a big number now, a much bigger number. So we have to pay attention to those interest costs. Um, what do you have for I guess tips or specifics that you'd want to comment on when it comes
Well,
to interest costs?
yeah, so we've had some record yields and record pricing over the last couple of years, which has made farmers have a lot of cash, so they're rich in cash. Um, and guys are buying equipment out of cash. So it sounds like a really good idea not to have a loan when you buy equipment. But what one thing's got people got to watch is if you got a line of credit or you're using your line, you got to pay attention to what that's going to cost you at the end of the year. So I don't know, crop input cost is what, $300 an acre roughly to put it in the ground. Am I
Yeah.
close, Ryan? It's probably
Yep.
about that. So if
Yep.
you're borrowing $200 an acre on your farm, just to put inputs, never mind buying equipment, um, and a good rate right now for a line would probably be 8.5%. So you're talking 16, $17 an acre on a very good line of credit. If you're doing with an FI with a crop inputs facility, their rates are, I'm guessing, 12%.
Hmm.
So now you're talking quite a bit more money. You're talking 24, $25 an acre. That's
Yep.
canola at today's price. That's got to be 2 bushels of canola, just about.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interest
Go ahead.
costs with some of these retails. I've seen some 10s, some 11s, some 13s out there. It's getting substantial for sure.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. And then go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was going to say, if you're going to buy equipment, you could probably lock in your rate for substantially less than your 8% or 10%. You could probably still get in the high sixes, low sevens. So if you're going to go buy equipment, make sure you talk to your banker or your advisor to make sure that you're using the right product for with the right term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Term loans for equipment, mortgages for land, lines for operating. So
Say that one more time for me.
uh, terms
Yeah,
are for equipment, mortgages for land, and lines of credit are for operating, not for equipment.
perfect. I put lines of credit are for trips to Hawaii is what I wrote down.
Oh,
But
yes, they
just
use that.
yeah,
Lines, you could use those too, I guess, but it's going to cost you.
perfect,
It's going to ask
perfect.
your interest cost per acre, that's for sure.
I was in a meeting this morning, and it was about it was actually with a peer group of farmers, and the financial advisor was talking about similar messages as you, where cash, uh, rich in cash or significant amounts of cash around, and protecting that cash. It was part of their conversation, trying to protect that cash and having that cash available for like a rainy day or a chance to do something for your farm operation, right? And I thought that was super interesting. They talked about more like crop insurance strategy around protecting that cash that is on farm. So I just thought that was super interesting this morning.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so anything else from the banking side that you're seeing as you chat with growers? You said people are in decent spirits, optimism's out there. We've
Yeah,
got some strategies around what to do with your loans and operating
yeah,
lines. What else you got out there?
yeah. So basically, I've been telling my members or my farmers, I guess you could call them, the last number of years that cash is king, and without cash, it's hard to operate. So just keep that in mind. If you want to prepay a loan, whether it be a mortgage or a equipment loan, uh, maybe try to put that in a term deposit for 6 months or a year. And if you do not need that cash after 6 months or a year, then I think you should take that cash and put it against your term loan or your mortgage, because once it's paid down to a loan or a mortgage, it's really difficult to get back
Hmm.
because it's gone. So
Yep.
cash is king all day long.
Yep. No, I like that. For 2024, I want to. I'm an eternal optimism type guy. I'm always optimistic, right? But I think 2024 has opportunity, and will present opportunity, and it will still be an exciting year, like it is every year. But there's also that chance we are in a market downtrend, and if we try to fast forward this for 12 months, it wouldn't surprise me to see some of these commodity prices even lower. And 2024 is not going to be a cheap crop to grow.
Mhm.
It's still going to be an expensive one to grow. So again, cash is king is
Yeah,
just
for
something
sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and we come off some really strong years where debt servicing was easy, so we got
Hmm.
to make sure we're budgeting for $14 canola, maybe. Hopefully not less, but maybe we should budget for 13 in case it happens. Same with wheat and oats and
Yeah,
barley.
yeah, I agree. Aim a little bit lower, and hopefully you hit it out of the ballpark. So,
Exactly.
um, I appreciate you joining me here in December as you're wrapping up the calendar year. I hope to have you back on the show in January if you're up for it. I know from a financial side, with farming, there's a lot for us that we can talk about. So if you're up for it, I'd love to have you back on in 2024.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
You bet. Thanks, Daryl. Have
All
yourself a
right.
Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thanks. Well, it's just fantastic when we can have guests from all parts of the industry joining us here on the show. So again, thanks, Daryl, for joining. So we're just about at the end here. I want to go over futures quickly. We do have that USDA report coming out as well, and Conab released their numbers. So let's just look at futures here. So canola, again from last week, we're down about $34 a ton. Which isn't very fun at all, folks. But 660, 640 is where we closed here on as of recording on the Thursday. Again, we were at 700 just a week ago. So that sell zone from a few analysts in that 7 to 725 range. Spring wheat gained 6 cents. So we're up about 11 cents here on the week. Oats down 10 cents. We hit 4 just a couple days ago. So we're trading 361. So that's given back some of its gains here over the last couple days. Corn up 3.5 cents at 488. That's up about 8 cents on the week. Soybeans have lost 30 cents, trading at 13.30. Did rebound a little bit, up 14 cents as of recording. And the Canadian dollar trading at 73.58, down from 74.10. Just not long ago. And when we were doing our basis contracts, we were at 72.5 cents there. All right. So from a futures perspective, I just to add, we've seen the weather show precipitation events in Brazil, and soybeans did have pulled back over the week here. From a cash bid perspective, I don't even really want to talk about canola right now, if that's okay. Spring wheat, I'm still not seeing anything touch that $10 range for delivery this winter. Basis levels have been getting worse as the futures have rallied, and prices are staying, very similar from what I can tell in those mid nines for many of you. That is one way to generate some cash flow right now, though, is to sell that spring wheat and get some money going that way. One of the more exciting bids out there, I guess, is yellow peas. Starting to see that demand again. I'm assuming China's come in and made a purchase for February or March, but I am seeing some $12 yellow peas for delivery here on the kind of that mid to later part of winter. And of course, pea production in Western Canada was a little bit short in 2023. So I'll be curious if we can see a little more upside in those prices here. If China was buying from Russia, maybe Russia has run out of yellow peas. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but let's keep an eye on what that yellow pea market does over the next number of weeks here. What else do we have? The feed values kind of holding steady for the most part. Feed barley, not seeing much change in oats either. Kind of a sideways trend in oats. So let's just move on from prices for now, and we'll see if we get something more interesting for next week's episode. All right. What else do we have here? Focus on the farm. Oh, actually, before we get to that, I did want to just tell you about the Conab numbers. Again, I don't like to talk about old news if I can help it, but they came out Thursday here with a soybean production number of 160.18 million ton. And then there was the estimate from the trade a couple days ago. And so that is for the USDA report, the WASI report that is going to be printed tomorrow on Friday. Pardon me, if you're listening, it's today actually, but 160.16. So Conab and the USDA very much aligned. For this USDA report, what I'm watching is, will they increase US soybean and corn yield just a little bit? Might wait till January, but I wouldn't surprise me if they raise it just a small amount, because yields were a little bit better than expected. And then, of course, do they touch the South American numbers at all, and by what amount? So that's the big ones for the USDA report. And obviously, the market will reflect those numbers in short order. Okay, on the farm, we are Well, we're fixing combines. We are fixing combines right now. I know I told you the last couple weeks, spend time in the office. Well, we've spent time in the office, so now it's time to start fixing combines again, and so that's what's happening. We do have a meeting lined up with our John Deere. He's kind of the technical guy. He helps with the John Deere Operations Center, and we've got this program we're using to track our costs and our return on investment and all the numbers for the farm. He is going to help us create some profitability maps, and I'm not sure what's all on the agenda for that meeting, but we'll see what I can report back here in the next week or two. But anyways. I obviously love crunching numbers, and we'll see what comes out of that. So excited for that. Um, yeah, and I think for this week's episode, that's going to be a wrap for us. Let me know if you like the Christmas music. We'll have it for a couple of weeks here. Stay tuned for Buddy the Elf and those short videos coming out next week. And of course, we have that Dear Santa letter. You can send your letter to Santa Claus, to us. We will get it over to the big man in time for the holidays. Let us know what you would like on the farm for a present in 2024, and I will hook you up with a nice little bundle of what the future's gear, maybe some Christmas cheer. I don't know, a snack or two. We'll make a nice little prize pack for you. So thank you for tuning in this week. And next week, we'll certainly talk weather with BAM WX, and we'll see who else joins us. So that's it. I'm out.